Bonjour, comment ça va? I hope you're all well. I am very well. Today, we are going to do something a little bit special, something that we don't always do, which is visit a European Space Center. Isn't that wonderful? So, what I've done, I got a guest, a special guest, because Linda works there. And why have I decided to do that? Well, it's because this came up in a conversation, and I asked, where do the French launch their rockets? Some people didn't know, some told me Paris. So let's find out all this. Now I'm going to introduce our guest. Okay, I'm going to see if she's there. Yes, she's there. Bonjour, Linda.
Bonjour, bonjour Mylène, bonjour à tous.
Okay. So, Linda, you know that we are going to speak English, okay,
Yes.
because our audience is English speaking. Okay. So Linda, can you say a few words about yourself?
Yes. So, good evening, everyone. I'm pleased to welcome you here and to give you a little tips about what I do. My name is Linda. I live in French Guiana since 20 years now, but I am originally from Guadeloupe, and I work in public relations and communication at the CSG, which is called the Europe Spaceport.
Okay. All right. So you've been in French Guiana for a long, long time, and you know everything about this spaceport. You call it, I call it Space Center, but you call it spaceport. Okay. All right. So did you hear what she said? She said French Guiana. All right. So my question originally was, where do the French launch their rockets? All right. So Linda, you are going to talk a little bit about the place, and you have a presentation. Okay.
Yes, I
So I'm
do.
going to see if we can get that presentation.
Mhm.
Um, I don't really see it, but let's see if it's this one. Let me know if I've got the right one.
You want me to share it, or are you going
Yes,
to do
share,
it?
share. If you have
Okay.
it, share it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I can.
Because I don't see it.
Oops.
All right.
Sorry, I
Okay.
went too
So go
far.
ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the CSG Europe Spaceport, which is in French Guiana, South America. We are very close to Brazil and Suriname, which used to be the Dutch Guiana, and the Guyana, which is originally the English Guiana. So this is where we launch. And why do we launch here? Actually, we don't launch only French payloads, because we launch payloads from all over the world, which is the first thing I wanted to say to you. Do you know that from French Guiana, I launch payloads from all over the world, really all over the world? The only payload that we don't launch actually are Chinese payloads, but
Okay.
otherwise we launch US payload from US, from Canada, from Brazil for sure, Argentina. We used to launch also, we launch a lot for Asian countries such as Japan, Indonesia, Singapore, all over the world. So we call them customers. We have customers coming from all over the world to be launched here in French Guiana. And why do they travel such a long journey to come and be launched here in French Guiana? The reason is strategic. It's geolocalization. I will tell you about this right after this one. I just wanted to share with you the last launch that we performed from CSG. This was a Soyuz launch. Soyuz is the Russian rocket, very famous rocket, which performed its first launch back in 1975. And since 2011, we are delighted to launch Soyuz from French Guiana also. And this one was for the European Space Agency and the European Union because it was a Galileo launch. What is Galileo? Galileo is a geolocalization system, European geolocalization system, which is competing with GPS, the American GPS. This one is much more performant, and it is European and it is civil, no military purpose. We already have 28 payloads launched, and we have 6 more to go to be able to to deliver the whole service. So this was performed last 4th of December. So why do we launch from French Guiana? The decision was taken back in 1961 by General de Gaulle. We all have heard about him. He was the French president at that time, and he decided to build a launch pad, a French launch pad at that time in French Guiana. Why? Because it was back in the days when Algeria was welcoming the French launchers, but Algeria was fighting for independence, and there was a need for France to find another place. A lot of places have been assessed, and the one which was decided to be the best was French Guiana. Why? Because we are located 5 degrees north to the equator, and being close to this equator is the best place to launch. Because thanks to that, we are benefiting, we have taken benefit from the speed of the rotation of the Earth, and we are able from there to launch heavier and far more, even far than any other place in the world. So that's why French Guiana was selected among 14 places. And Kourou was the place where the Space Center was built. Why Kourou? Because we have 50 kilometers of space where we can launch toward the north and toward the east without flying over cities. And this opening to the sea is very interesting because when we launch toward the north is for Earth observation missions, and you need to launch toward the east for telecommunication missions. So meaning that from CSG, we can launch everything, every kind of payloads. The only thing that we don't launch from French Guiana for the time being are humans, because it's much more, to be able to launch human from French Guiana, we will have to make much more investment. And for the time being, the countries which are financing the CSG are not ready to spend that much money. So that's why we still launch payload only from French Guiana. So first of all, the CSG was a French territory. It was a French spaceport, and it became a European spaceport in 1975. Because in 1975, a few European countries, among which France, Great Britain, Germany, Italy, Netherlands, decided to put their means in common to have a independent access to space. Independency is a very important criteria here, because back in that days, there were only 2 space countries, I would say. There were only the United States and Russia. And if you had a satellite, at that time, everybody was trying to have their own satellites. You have to ask first to Russia or USA. And sometimes they can make you wait. So at that time, both General de Gaulle and some European countries afterwards decided that they needed to have their own access to space. And That's how the European Space Agency, which was just created, and it was created in 1973 with a few members, there were 10 at that time, decided to put their means in common and to finance the CSG in order to have their own independent access to space. With the time passing, more countries joined them, and now there are 22 member states in among ESA, European Space Agency, and all these states are financing the CSG in order to be able to launch their own satellite from a European place. So I insist, this is a European Space Center in a French territory. The land is French, but all the buildings here, all the buildings here belongs to European Space Agency, which is made of 22 member states. What is CSG? Where is it? And how it is made of? How is it made of? So as I was saying before, we have 50 kilometers of opening to the sea, to the Atlantic Ocean, which means that we can launch toward the east or toward the north, which is very useful. Here you see a map. Actually, it's a satellite picture of Kourou and the CSG. So you see at the right of the picture the city of Kourou, which has been developing itself from in 1964, when the construction of CSG started. There were only 500 people working and living at Kourou. It was mainly fishermen and some people doing agriculture. And now we are more than 10,000 people. And this was made in 50 years. We just celebrate in 2018 the 50th anniversary of CSG. So what do we have on the spaceport? A spaceport is made of launch pads for sure. Here at CSG we have 3 launch pads. One is for Ariane 5, which is the heavy launcher, which can launch 10 tons into geostationary orbit. Then we have the Soyuz launcher, which is on the far west of the picture, which can launch up to 3.2 tons into geostationary orbit. And we have the small lightweight vehicle, which is called Vega, the youngest in the family. Which maiden flight was performed back in February 2012. It was the 13th of February, right before Valentine's Day. And these are the 3 members of the family. We have another launch pad in the development, which is the 4th Ariane launch pad ever built at CSG in 50 years, which is the 6th version of Ariane, the European launcher, and we call it Ariane 6. This one is under preparation. But we don't need only launch pads. We also need facilities. First facilities that we need are payload facilities, the buildings where we prepare the spacecraft. We have 3 different payload facilities at CSG, and this is where the payloads, the satellites, are welcome and prepared in order to be launched. The satellites are produced wherever they come from, Europe, United States, Asia, but they fly to French Guiana, and when they arrive there, first thing we have to check is whether the delivery was made properly, whether the satellite didn't suffer any damage during its journey. And then we have a few operations that I will tell you about later on. We also need a few buildings, but this is important also, a few buildings where people can work for sure. We have what we call a control center. We have a launcher control center where the people gathers for the very last moment of the chronology. We started 10 hours before liftoff. And we also have the CSG control tower, which is like, you have to imagine it's just like an airport. We have a plane with a flight commander, and you have the tower, the control tower, which is to the pilot. Okay, you can fly. You are ready to go, and this is exactly the same. So we have a control tower which is called Jupiter, and Jupiter gathers also all the the French representatives and the customers and some VIPs. And inside this tower, this is where the launcher gets the authorization to go or not to go, depending on many criteria, among which one the most relevant is the weather, because we don't launch in the certain conditions of weather. There's a few weather conditions that we cannot, that where we cannot launch. For instance, the lightning is mandatory for launch. So if there's a risk of lightning, we postpone the launch. Either we wait a few, if we have the launch window, we can wait until the end of the launch window, or if there's no launch window, we postpone the launch to the day after, when the weather conditions are also measured. So during a few days before the day zero, day of launch, we monitor the weather in order to make sure that we can launch. And once we have launched, another service that is very important is the telemetry stations. The telemetry stations are facilities that welcome the radars. These radars are communicating with the launcher to have the correct position of the launcher during the whole flight, especially when he's flying over French Guiana or close to French Guiana, because every launcher has a corridor, and if it goes out of the corridor, it is distracted. This happened a few times. Last time I remember, it was in December 2002, which is 19 years ago, and I was there, and we had to distract the launcher because it was flying, and the flight was flying incorrectly, and it was a very, very sad day that day. I have to remember. So this is to explain how, and to explain how we launch, and how is the CSG, the Guiana Space Center, how is it made of. So I was talking about launchers. Here we go. I told you that we have 3 launchers. One is the Ariane 5. You can see here on its launch pad during liftoff. You have to imagine the energy that is needed to take this launcher, which weighs around 8,000 tons, out of the gravity. What we do here is fighting gravity. We have to launch. We have 2 payloads inside, weighing about 10 tons, and we have to send them like I don't know, 35,000 kilometers far from Earth. So you have to get off gravity and out of the atmosphere. You are out of the atmosphere between 100 and 150 kilometers high, and this is what we do on Ariane 5. So to do that, we have 2 boosters that are loaded with 247 tons of solid propellant, and their mission is to get the launcher out of Earth. So here you have a picture of Ariane 5, but I have the same picture for Soyuz, the Russian launcher, which is launched here from French Guiana also. And the small one, the small Vega, another launch. The last time we performed Vega launch, it was last November, the 16th of November, it was a French military payload. And the last time we performed an Ariane launch, it was in October, the 27th of October, with 2 payloads. One was Brazilian and the other one was European. And now we are getting ready for a very important launch in a few days from now, on December 22. we are going to launch Webb. Webb is a space telescope built by NASA in partnership with ESA. So NASA, the American Space Agency, and we are very proud to launch this telescope, which is going to replace Hubble, and which is going to give us a lot of information about how the universe was made, how the planets was made, the birth of a star, and whether there are other planets like Earth in the universe, such question that we all have and that we still don't have any answer. And this will, and thanks to Webb, we should be able to have a few information about this, learn more about this, and this is very important for us. And last but not least, this is a picture of the Ariane 5 launch pad and the development right now. So you see the pad and you have a small picture of the launcher. This is what is going on. So at the same time, we are launching quite mostly every month. And we also are developing a new launch pad. Ariane 6 will take the place of Ariane 5 and should be able to perform dual and single launches, both for governmental payloads or private payloads. And the maiden flight of Ariane 6 is now scheduled in September 2022. Sorry. So this is a view of a launcher from the beach of Kourou, and just after liftoff. And this is a beautiful view of what you see when we perform a launch by day. We do perform launches by day or by night. Actually, the next launch, Ariane 5 launch, Webb, will be performed by day. It will be at 10 a.m. Universal Time. And another picture of a launch performed by night, also day down, and you see people watching the launch from the beach. Maybe this is the moment, Mylène, I suggest that we maybe can show a few images of the liftoff.
Okay. All right. So let's see. Let's see if it works.
Yes, it is. So here you see
a lot of smoke.
A lot of smoke, because this is energy. Actually, you have a very heavy launcher. So here you see how it works. So first we ignite the first stage, the central core of Ariane 5, which is loaded with liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen. We test this engine during 7 seconds. Why do we do that? Is because if this engine doesn't work, the launch cannot be performed. And why do we have to test this before? Because once you ignite the boosters, the two boosters that are made that are part of Ariane 5, you can no longer stop the launcher. Boosters are made of solid propellant. This solid propellant is like it's like dynamite. If once it is ignited, it burns until there's no more. So that's why you see we have to test first the central core before we ignite the other stages. And this solid propellant is very useful for the launcher, because this is the most powerful propellant to fight gravity. This is thanks to this propellant we are able to launch heavy payloads. We cannot have this performance with liquid propellants. I was talking about the liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen, which are inside the central core of Ariane 5. You can stop the video now if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, you see another view of the rooftop, but you can stop. It's then I can explain without the video. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So, so I forgot to explain that Ariane 5 has 3 different stages. The first stages are the two boosters. These boosters are made in French Guiana. They are made of solid propellants. Why are they made of in French Guiana? Because you cannot have them delivered from any place elsewhere, because they cannot be they cannot fly to French Guiana. This is not possible. So each booster is made of three parts. The upper part is made in Europe, but the main part, which is loaded with the solid propellant, is made in French Guiana.
Okay.
Then you have a central core. What is a launcher actually? A launcher is only engines with tanks of propellants. Why? Because the aim is to be able to place a satellite somewhere in the sky at a very specific position, which is the proper position for the payload to be able to work. A payload duration is between 5 to 10 days, sometimes 15 days. If the payload is placed properly, its life duration is enhanced. So this is very important, to have the payload placed at the very correct position. And that's what Ariane 5 do. And we do it twice, because Ariane 5 is a launcher that is able to launch two payloads at the same time. Then what you have the third stage. The third stage is the upper stage, which is responsible for the mission. So the first. Oops, you have a video going on. I can hear the sound of the video. So the boosters and the central core, what we call the main cryogenic stage, are responsible for taking the payload out of the atmosphere. The third stage will be in charge of putting the payload in the right position for its mission. And this is what we do here. So all the elements of the launcher are shipped to French Guiana, and they are assembled inside two buildings. And once this operation is done, we are able to to mate the payloads, either one or two, depending on the mission, and the fairing, and then to perform the launch. I will go back to the presentation.
Well, I have to say, you know your stuff, girl. You know the technical part of it. That's very, very impressive.
I've been explaining that for 20 years now, in French, in English, sometimes even in Spanish. So that's why I
Okay,
can
all
tell
right.
about
Okay, you're doing a good job. Good job.
Thank you. So here you see the ship, the MN Toucan, which is one of the two ships that deliver the elements of the launcher to French Guiana. And I like this picture
ship?
because
We don't see the picture.
Oh, you don't see the picture?
Uh-uh.
Oh, I am sharing, but you don't see anymore. Okay, let me try again. I will try again to share my presentation. I was going back to the presentation, but okay, here we go. So this is the ship. I hope you see it. Not yet.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So what were you saying about the ship?
So these are one of the two ships that deliver the Ariane, Soyuz, and Vega elements to French Guiana in order to prepare the launcher. So every launcher comes in several parts, and the parts are assembled in French Guiana. These parts come from Europe. They are all produced in Europe and shipped to French Guiana on these boats. This boat is very special because it can go inside the Kourou harbor, which is a river, the Kourou River, and it was made specially for this purpose, because you don't have a lot of water. You know, I don't know how to say it in English, but it is it is specially made to sail on the Kourou River, and we have two boats like this.
Okay. Mhm.
So you see some what we call la Pointe de Kourou. This place has an history because it used to be part of the Bagne de Cayenne.
Ah,
So
the penal colony.
yes, the penal
Okay.
colony. It was
All
part
right.
of the pen. There was a few buildings here that are no longer that do no longer exist, and people. Well, it's a beautiful place, I think. Yeah.
I think we have to, for those who probably have joined now, is that the European Spaceport is not located in Cayenne, but in Kourou. That's the reason
Yes.
why we have Kourou coming back all the time. And when the French launch, they always say Kourou, and we see it on TV, on the French TV, Kourou. So it's Kourou is about how many kilometers from Cayenne?
And 60 kilometers from Cayenne. So
60.
it's the second what? It's the economic city of French Guiana. You have the what we call the prefecture. The main city
Mhm.
is Cayenne. The second main city is Saint Laurent du Maroni, which is far west of French Guiana. And Kourou is the economic city, I would say, mainly driven by the spaceport, the space activities that lead Kourou to this second position.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
What can I say? Now, yes, well, we all. I've been talking a lot about space and launchers, but I wanted to show you also the biodiversity that is very important here at CSG. We have plenty of animals because CSG is located. The CSG surface it's 700 square kilometers. Why is it so big? Because only 10% of the 7,000 square kilometers are occupied with buildings. The 90% is remains in its natural stage, meaning no buildings, no activity, no human activity. Why do we have such a big territory? That is the main reason is we don't want people to settle around our activities
Mm.
because we don't want to put people in danger. So in French Guiana, we have a tradition. People, when they see a land, they start cultivate some, or they start putting animals, and they start, or they go hunting. And this we don't want because when we launch, we don't want to have people to put people into danger. So we decided to keep this area empty from any human activities. And thanks to that, because there's no people, no agriculture, no hunting, no human activities, we have a very rich biodiversity. And we do monitor that because we also use this biodiversity to monitor, to measure our impact on the environment. For example, what you see here are bees, not natural bees. Actually, we put them here because we participate to a study that that is to use the bees to evaluate our impact on the environment. They say that when we put bees into a place, if the place is polluted, the bees goes away. They go away. They don't stay, or they die. And
And what have you
actually,
found?
what we found is that they are very happy where they are. We put them everywhere
Okay.
at CSG, and they start uh,
Reproducing.
producing a lot. And we have very tiny cameras inside. This was made by a camera. We put mini tiny cameras inside the nest to see what is the activity, if they get ill, or if they get mad or aggressive or something. And what we see is that the bees are very happy. And this is very interesting to us because it means that that not that there's no pollution, but the pollution that is because they're very sensitive to pollution, bees. Well, everybody knows that. And see those bees developing themselves means that what we do to monitor, to control the pollution is made correctly. I have to say that industrial activities are always polluting. I will not say that we do not pollute. Yes, we do, depending on the launcher, depending on the propellants, depending on many criteria. Sure, we do pollute. What we do is that we have studies. We have, for every launch that we perform, we take 600 measurements all around the launch pad and even in the city. I have to say that on the borders each border of the CSG, you will find two cities. One is Kourou, I told you about before, but the other one is Sinamari. And we put pollution collectors all around CSG and even inside these cities to measure the pollution that could be spread around CSG, inside CSG or outside CSG. What we've been doing that for 60 years now, for 50 years now, since we start launching. And so we have the experience of all these studies that have been made for every launch, and the results are public. They are published on the website of CSG after every launch. It's a heavy report that explains for every kind of pollution, that gives the results and the measurement. But the conclusion is that outside one perimeter of 1 kilometer around the launch pad, you don't see any trace of pollution. So yes, there is a pollution, but it is located around the launch pad, and it depends also with the launcher. For instance, Soyuz is powered by kerosene and liquid oxygen, which will produce same pollution as a plane or a car. Ariane 5, the main engine is powered by liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen, which produce water when they burn. But the boosters are powered by solid propellant, which produce I forgot the term in English, but the pollution is the result is an acidic pollution. This acidic pollution is controlled on the launch pad. What you see is that we pour tons of water on the launch pad. This water is used for several purposes. First purpose is to create an acoustic environment which is favorable for the payloads, to protect the payload from the acoustic vibration generated by the boosters, because the powder, when it burns, generates a lot of vibrations. Also, it protects the pad from the heat, because this heat can go to up to 3,000 Celsius degree. And also it keeps the pollution inside the launch pad. And this pollution also is afterwards is treated, and this avoid pollution to go all around and to spread itself. This was for the pollution. What I put here in my presentation are a few images of the biodiversity. You see a slot here. We have many slots on the pad at CSG, because we don't have any people hunting. So we have a few animals that can be seen here at CSG that you cannot see or you can see more rarely, more scarcely, it's in French Guiana. And we used to have a lot of slots, because we had a partnership with an association, and that was taking care of those slots. And once they are ready to, when they were hit by a car or abandoned because the mother was killed by a hunter, and we free them inside CSG because we know that they will not be hunt or hit
Okay.
by cars, and
So they
so
were put there, right?
yes, we put them.
Okay. All right.
Yes,
Okay.
we made that for several times.
Interesting.
These are another example of biodiversity that you see at CSG. This is called capybara. This is the biggest mammal that you see in South America, and we have plenty of them. Even sometimes the military has to do the circulation to protect them because they are everywhere, and they are very funny. And lately they found a bone of a prehistorical capybara, which is as big as an elephant, and it used to live at the time of the dinosaur in the prehistorical area, prehistorical times.
Mm,
So we have
interesting.
also tortoise for sure. You see a small tortoise that these are animals from French Guiana that you can see very easily here in at CSG. This is a land tortoise, very old one, I would say. It could get
So
bigger.
they are left inside to reproduce, right?
Oh, they just live their life. They
Okay.
just
All right.
enjoy their time because as I said, you cannot hunt inside CSG. So
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
find many animals that you would not find easily outside because they are hunted, and so they go away from the city and from the zone where people live.
Yeah, but what I mean is that are they allowed to reproduce? Because if you just have females and no males, then you're not going to have this reproduction.
Sure. They are
Oh,
reproducing themselves.
okay.
Oh,
All right. That's what I wanted to find out. Okay.
we have all kind of, and they are reproducing themselves. So this is
Okay.
a very rare orchid, orchid that you can see also that was found here at CSG.
Mm,
uh, when we were building IN6 launchpad, we had to do a diagnostic, environmental diagnostic, and we had to count all kind of species, either plants or animals that were on the site, in order to measure our impact on the environment and to be able to monitor this impact and to um, maybe to I would say compensate this impact regarding the French law. And one of the discovery that was made at that time was this very special orchid that was not registered since in French Guiana, and that was found at CSG.
mm.
Uh,
Yes, that's interesting.
yes, some
Yeah, I
pictures of
didn't know about that part with the environment. Didn't know that at all. I visited the center several times, but I guess I was much younger, so the questions were not going to be the same. But
yes, sure.
what is
And
this
also
animal? Is
this
it
is a
like a
puma.
tiger? Oh,
Ye-
puma. Okay.
Yes,
Hmm.
we have plenty of them. So we have along the year we have been developing a few partnerships with environmental associations and also organizations such as French organizations, and we do monitor the population of animals, big animals inside the CSG. So we put photography. We put ah. Piège photographique, I forgot the word in English, but we have so small cameras located in some places that we know are places where some animals, big animals, could be, and we collect every year a lot of pictures of these animals. I put a
Okay.
few ones here, but I have too many to put inside. But there are plenty of. So we have jaguars, we have pumas, we have a lot of big animals like this that we can see. Personally, I haven't had the chance to see a jaguar. I've been waiting for that for 20 years and still I haven't seen it. Once it happens, it was like 2 minutes. I was on the road driving back to my office. I didn't see it. I had a colleague right behind me. He and he saw it, and I was like, "This is a shame." I was I was there 2 minutes ago, and it
So
saves
let
me.
me understand. So they are left free,
Yes,
Li-
completely free,
like
completely
like
free.
in a zoo, but without, being
We don't feed
restricted like
them.
a
We
zoo.
don't. No, we there
And
there
you don't
are.
feed them.
No, no,
No.
no. A jaguar has a 300 square kilometers area, meaning that when he is somewhere, he can walk around 300 square kilometers. We
Wow.
have many jaguars at CSG because they don't get hunt, and they find food, so they live their life like freely all around. And it happens. I have many stories of people who met jaguars, and I was very scared. I had one last time I saw it because I had a friend that met one. He was walking and he saw one, and it was a female, and she started growing. So he went back. He pulled back. He was very scared because it might happen that she had a baby and she could attack, but otherwise they don't attack. There are no history of attack at
That
CSG,
was
but
my
it could
next
happen.
question, actually.
no,
I
no,
wanted to find out because can you imagine you work there and then you're facing a wild animal, well, what we would call a wild animal, it's
we have firemen here at CSG. We have a special team of firemen that we can call. Usually, it happens for crocodiles and snakes that happen to get inside the offices, and it happens sometimes, not
excuse
very
me,
often. Yes,
inside the offices, you said?
yes, it
Oh
happens.
my God.
I
The way
told you
you
about
talk is
it.
as if, it's, you said inside the offices where you work?
Yeah. It happens. For instance,
Oh
we
my
enter the
God.
rainy seasons, and it rains a lot, and sometimes animals get lost because of the rain, and they get inside offices, and it has happened. Well, to me, it happens very not very often, but it do happen that we have to call the firemen to collect a snake inside a
Oh my
building,
God.
or to collect a crocodile. It happens also. So that's a funny part of the job. We collect them. Well, the firemen collect them, and they free them outside in the
Mm.
bush so that they don't
Oh
come back
gosh.
again. It happens to me once. I was going out of the toilets, and I almost put my feet on the snake, and I yelled like I never yelled before.
Oh my God.
And it was late at night, and there was nobody in the office, and I was like, I'm going to die.
So what
But I
happened?
think the snake was even more afraid of me. He was even more scared than I was. And well, there was a colleague outside, and he came to my rescue and said, what happened? What happened? And when he saw the snake, he was laughing like, oh, such a fuss.
I guess they are used to it.
Yes,
I
some
guess
of
they're
them are
used to
getting
it.
used, but I don't. I really don't. 20 years after,
Oh my God.
I'm still scared. But I almost put my feet on it. That's why I was so scared. Well, it happens. um, Another picture, a small
What is
monkey.
that?
This
Oh,
this is a monkey, a yellow hen monkey, we call it, and we have plenty of them also. Sloths and monkeys are all over,
okay.
and also shorebirds. We have all kind of birds, and we monitor them also. We monitor the population of birds. This is why I show you this. First, we monitor the variety of birds that we have and their population. And we used to have a study with with a professor, and the study was to measure either the birds were impacted by the pollution of the launcher, because we know that there are bird nets around launch pads sometimes, and we had a very specific study that lasted a few years in order to check whether these birds are impacted by the pollution. We were collecting the eggs, we were collecting the fence, and to see if we find trace of pollutions. We never found. Actually, the
Okay, so
result was zero.
you have somebody paid to do all this, right?
Not somebody. We have
Well,
several.
I mean a team. No, it
Yeah,
can't be
yes.
one person, but I mean
No,
it's a
no.
job.
In
It's a
fact,
full-time
it's
job.
companies. We rely.
Subcontracting?
Yes, we are
Ah, you're
rely on sub.
subcontracting. Okay.
Yes, we
Mm.
rely on. Well, some of the companies are subcontractors. They are paid by CNES to measure to perform the measurements, and some companies are independent companies. We have French laboratories. We work, for instance, with Institut Pasteur, which is a French
Ah, okay.
company.
Mm.
We and this so the study that are made by um, relevant companies in the business. This is not, we don't do it by our own. I mean,
Yeah, okay.
we
That's what I
rely
wanted
on
to know.
companies to do
Okay.
that.
Because it's a different business altogether,
Yes,
which has nothing
definitely.
to do with launching rockets.
Nothing exactly, but we
Okay,
do
so I understand
monitor,
now.
and we do have a environmental responsibility. So we make sure that what we do, for instance, I was talking about the criteria to be able to launch. uh, I said that the weather criteria is very important
Mhm.
criteria, because we don't want lightning, and we also monitor the winds. The wind speed is very important to us to be able to launch. Why? Because we don't. Why do we monitor the winds? First of all, because they can endanger the launcher, but secondly, because if the launcher, I told you that if the launcher has to fly in a specific corridor,
Mm.
if it goes out of this corridor, it is distracted. And what we
Ah,
don't want is that the launcher destructed will produce pollution, and that we don't want this pollution to come back to cities, especially Kourou and Sinamari, which are the closest city to the CSG. So the reason why we don't launch when we have high speed winds, and also when the wind's direction will, we know that the wind's direction will bring back the smoke to the cities.
okay. Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so that's why we monitor the winds, the speed, and the direction.
Okay. So basically, you schedule a launch, and then based on the weather forecast, you will decide whether or not to go ahead with it.
Exactly, and this
Mm.
is true for every launcher. We do the
Okay.
same for Ariane 5, but also for Soyuz and for Vega. Even though Vega is a smaller launcher, even though it generates less, it use less propellants. Even though that, we have the same criteria, and we don't launch because we know that we have the two cities around. We have Sinamari and we have Kourou. We don't want those two cities to be impacted by fumes or gases or any kind of pollution. So we don't launch if there's a risk for this population.
Mm. Okay.
Okay. What I wanted to show you there is a few landscapes, just because I thought that maybe the people connected don't know about French Guiana. So this is a view of savannas, humid
Mhm.
savannas. CSG is made of a lot of savannas, and these savannas are very interesting in terms of biodiversity. Um,
Okay.
that is that is what makes the CSG landscape so special. These savannas, and there are a lot of studies about these savannas, how they are made, how they live, how they are created, could impact them positively or negatively. And we participate, French Space Agency, participate into these studies. We have people coming from all over the world to study the savannas of CSG.
Mm.
Another landscape also, here you can see the view. So you see that the
So
sea
that is
is
the main
brown.
road, is it?
No, this is not the road, this is the sea. Actually, this is the brown
Oh, okay,
sea.
okay, all right.
You know that French
I
Guiana, the sea.
see. All right, okay, okay.
Yeah, in
Sorry.
French
Okay,
Guiana,
all
the
right.
sea is brown.
I thought it was a road.
No, no, no. This is the beach, but the
Okay.
sea is brown. This is very particular to French Guiana because of the rivers. We have so many rivers, and that they bring all the mud to the sea. That's why the water is brown,
It's brown.
and you see
But you
behind a
can
few
have a
buildings.
good mud, what do they call it? A mud bath, you know? It's good for your
Yes,
skin,
you
apparently.
could. Yes, but I have to confess, never tried it. I know it's good, but I don't feel like
You
trying it.
should, you should, you should.
Last
Because
time I took a
that's
bath,
what
it was
people,
like
well, that's
uh,
what people spend a lot of money on with all these
maybe,
masks and so on. And you have it, just at home.
maybe. Well, and yes, I wanted to talk a little about the history of French Guiana. The
Salvation Island.
Yes, the Devil's Islands here.
Hmm.
You see two of them, Royal, the main one, and Devil, the small one. And this is where Devil, well, ah,
Papillon? No.
Papillon. I don't. Yes, actually, yes, Papillon was here, but I wanted to talk about this
Okay.
French military that was isolated in the small one that you see over there. I forgot the name. Sorry.
Saint Joseph, Royal,
No, this one is
Devil,
Devil, le Diable, voilà.
Devil Island. Okay.
And
Hmm.
it has a very famous prisoner, which was a French military that was
Oh,
found
okay.
guilty.
Dreyfus. You're
Yeah,
talking about
exactly.
Dreyfus.
I was
Yes.
talking about Jeffries. Thank you very
Yes.
much. I was forgetting his name. So this is where Jeffries spent his
Yeah.
long penitential time, and the house where he used to live is still does
Still
exist.
there?
Yes, still there.
Mm.
And here you see Royal, so the main island where the administrative, well, it used to be the administrative part of the Devil's Islands, and where the directors and the families used to live. And these, what do I told you about this? Because well, they are part of French Guiana. This is why French Guiana is also famous. There are two reasons why French Guiana is famous. One is CSG, the other one is the Devil's Islands for sure, because of the Papillon movie that was
Mm.
so famous around the world.
Yeah.
These islands belong to the CSG because they are under the trajectory of the launcher. So that's why we keep them. But in the meantime, we promote the touristic activities. This is actually the Davis Islands are the second, well, not the first most visited site, touristic site in
But I
French
thought
Guiana.
that you couldn't visit the Devil Island.
Sure, you can. Sure, you
Okay,
can. It's
so there must be
open.
one island which wasn't open to the public.
Devil. The small one is not because it's very dangerous to land. You cannot go there. It's very dangerous.
Oh,
There's no harbor. There's no way to access. And some people, well, it is forbidden for security, for safety mainly. I know that some people go anyway, but it's very dangerous.
oh, okay.
And so there's nobody amongst of nobody lives on the island and nobody goes there. But Royal and Saint Joseph are very popular, and they
Yeah,
are visited all around
all the
the Europe,
time.
all
Yeah.
along the yes. People go there, and this is the only place in French Guiana where you can see the sea, the blue sea. So it's that's why it's famous also, and it's very fishy. The water is very fishy, so the fishermen goes there also to fish
Mm.
big big fish.
Mm.
So, and you see here so this is the second image that I show you is Saint Joseph. This one
Okay.
you can see Saint Joseph
Mm.
here, the
Okay, so
ports.
I understand that when there's a launch, they something
Yes,
happens
the
when
Devil's
they
Islands
launch.
are evacuated for launch.
Okay.
Why? Because they are under the trajectory of the launch. When we launch, they are under the launch corridor, and in case of an accident,
Yeah.
uh, people could be in danger. So that's why we decided to evacuate the Devil's Islands every time there's a launch. So they evacuate a few hours before liftoff, and once the launch is performed, people are allowed to come back.
So
We
where
have
are
a
they
restaurant.
taken to?
Sorry.
Where are they taken to?
Oh, you don't have people living. People don't live on the Davis Islands. Uh, they stay here for tourism, but they don't live there. So it's just that the island is closed, and they come back if they want to come back. But the only people that live on the island are the people who work there at the restaurant, because there's a restaurant and a
Yeah, because I
hotel.
remember having been to a restaurant.
Yes.
So are you saying that the people who work at the restaurant, they don't live there?
No, most of
Ah,
them, they don't
okay.
live there, or they stay for the week, but they live in Kourou, most of them.
Ah, okay.
Nobody lives.
Okay. Okay.
Everyone has a home in Kourou or in Cayenne. They don't stay here
Okay.
permanently, I would say.
Okay.
Okay.
So they have to take the boat every if if they don't stay for the week, they have to take the boat every, like every morning from Kourou
Some of
to.
them take the boat, or some of them stay for the week, and they work like 5 days, and then they go back home for the weekend, and it's
Yeah.
another team that uh, comes to work.
Mm.
That's why.
Can you remind me how long is the journey
On the boat to
on the
Davis
boat?
Islands. Oh, it's
Yes, I
around
can't
one
remember
hour.
how long it was. For me,
One
it was like
hour.
forever because I'm seasick, but that is different
Yes,
story.
I understand. It's 1 hour
It's
long,
one.
but
It's 1 hour. Okay.
yes, but just because the boat is driving very slowly, because it could take 20 minutes. On a
Okay.
fast boat, it's
Depending
20
on, yeah.
minutes.
Yeah. All
Yes.
right. So you have to have the right boat. Okay.
Hmm. That's it. But it's better when you go on a catamaran. Catamaran is much more comfortable. Even when you
Okay.
are seasick, it's more comfortable.
Okay. Well, I
Okay.
don't know, but for me, I'm always seasick, so it doesn't matter which one.
I understand. I understand. Um, okay. Now, what we can do now, I can talk about the launch campaign more
Mhm,
precisely.
mhm.
Um, Either we go through the video first and then I explain, or
Okay, so you
no,
want me to
no,
put a
no. I will
video
start.
first? Mhm.
No, I will start with the. I will start with the. Sorry, I will start with the presentation first, and then we go to the video. Maybe it will be easier this way.
Okay.
Do you see? Do you see now the presentation?
No, I
The
don't see
slides?
it.
No, not yet.
No.
Oh, okay. Maybe I will start again. Not yet. Okay. Well, I will start again. Bup, bup, bup.
Well, now, whilst you're doing that, I'm just a little message to our viewers. I hope you are interested in what's going on. And please, if you have any questions for Linda, do not hesitate. Just put them in the chat, and we will go through them. Okay, and they can be asked in French as well, since she's French. She can answer them.
Yes.
All right.
Do
Okay.
you see? Do you see the?
I think it's this one. Yeah.
Oh, do you see it now?
Yes.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
on the
Okay.
screen now.
Okay, it's on the screen. So I will tell you more about preparation campaign, mainly for the payload. So what we call payload is a satellite because this is what the customer pays for to be launched. And every payload campaign starts at the airport with this big plane that you see, which is called Beluga, Russian plane. You see the flag on
Yeah.
it, and this plane delivers usually traditionally delivers the payload to the Cayenne airport. I said traditionally because for Webb, the satellite that is going to the space telescope that we are going to launch in a week from now, this one arrives with a boat with the same MN2 con that I showed you before. It was a special delivery. It arrives it lands in French Guiana by boat. Not happen. This doesn't happen very often. Traditionally, it comes by plane.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So it comes in a special container, which is put on a truck and driven to Kourou, to the Europe Spaceport. Once at CSG, Europe Spaceport, we open the container and you have people that will start checking the payload to see if everything is correct. Then we put the payload on a special delivery system and we test it before we move it to another room. What you see here are clean rooms, what we call clean room, that with very high standard of cleaning. It's as clean as a chirurgical room in a hospital because we
Okay.
don't want any kind of pollution. I would say hair or dust or humidity, anything, any kind of pollution. So that's why you see the people are fully dressed. They even put special equipment on their shoes, and they have to wear very
And their heads as well.
yeah, and the head and the beard. If they were beard, they have to put
Okay.
a special cover on it because no hair, no dust, no skin, no nothing. Just extremely clean.
Mm.
Here you see a fueling operation. So you have to know that spacecraft are filled with propellants. These are very specific propellants. These are very also polluting propellants, and these propellants are used for the life of the payload. They won't use it for the launch, but once the payload is in its orbit, it will use its own engine to start to go to the from the delivery position to the effective mission position, and that's why we have to fill it with propellant. These propellant are originally liquid or gases.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then, once the payload is once the spacecraft is loaded, it is also loaded in a specific container, which will be used to move it from this building to another building where it will be made on top of the launcher. This is what you see here. Then this is the mating. So
I
below,
like the word mating.
yes, like a date.
Ah.
This is down. What you see down is the launcher, and up this is the payload, and we are going to put the payload on top of the launcher. This is what the people do here. Oh, this is the video. We can launch it here? Oh no, no, it's just a screenshot.
No, you
It's
need
just
to
a screenshot.
share.
Okay.
You need
Okay.
to
No,
share
no.
your screen.
Okay, no problem. So this is another picture of the payload. So this one is Star 1 D2. Star 1 D2 is Brazilian payload, which was
Oh,
launched
okay.
last October. So in Brazil, people are very fond of TV and internet. They have a lot of TV channels and a lot of sports. So they are launching a lot of payload in order to have internet and telecommunication
Okay. All
and
right.
TV.
Okay.
That's why.
Mm.
So this is another very delicate operation, which is when you put the fairing on top of the launcher to protect the payloads. The fairing is the upper part of the launcher, which protects the launcher from the atmosphere, I would say, from all pollution and from the atmosphere. And this fairing is moved back once the launcher is out of the atmosphere, meaning between 100 kilometers and 150 kilometers high into the sky. Okay. Then this is day -1, the day before liftoff, when we move the launcher from its preparation building to the launch pad. This is performed on day -1, so the day before launch. And it will roll on a table. This table is a mobile structure that goes on a double railway. And the distance between this building and the launch pad is around 4 kilometers. It is driven by a truck. You will see it here. You see at the bottom right, there's a small truck. This truck is responsible for moving the launcher to the pad. It has 18 different speed in order to
18?
move.
Did you say?
18. Yes, 18.
Wow.
And so it drives it on 4 kilometers railway. And the launcher plus the table, it's around a little more than 1,000 tons, the weight. Launcher is more than 800 tons, and the table weight more than 300 tons, sorry. And this is liftoff. So, like I said before, we first ignite the first engine, which is called the Vulcain. It's a French engine powered by liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen. And then after 7 seconds, we ignite the boosters and liftoff is performed. This is how we do it. So this is the end of this presentation. Maybe we can show a few seconds of the movie.
Okay. Let me see if I can get that.
Yes, love this music. So here, what you see here is the integration. Maybe what I can do is what we can do maybe is go directly to the day -1 operation. You think I can?
So D2 is D for day, right?
Yes, Star 1 D2 is the second Star 1D.
Okay.
And Eutelsat Quantum was another payload. It is a European payload.
Okay.
So these are the two spacecraft that were inside the plane, inside the launcher. Let me go maybe a little further. Yes, I think here. you see what you see here
It's
is very,
amazing.
yes, and I would say the covering even, because this is where we put the fairing on top, and this is the right moment. So here we are, day minus one, and we move the launcher. So you have to imagine the launcher is put on the table. It's not pulled; it's just put, and it goes at a very very low speed with a small truck on the table. You see the table is the ground part that you see, and this is the launcher going to its launch pad. Day minus one, the pressure is at its highest point. We
I
are
can
all
imagine.
ready. Yes, we are all ready to launch, and it's this is where the excitement starts, and this is liftoff. So you see the engine, the Vulcan. Then here you see the cryogenic arms. These arms are used to feed the upper stage of the launcher, and these are the connections that allow to fuel the central core of the launcher, load it with, I would say load the central core with liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen, and this is liftoff. Why liquid? Because you have to fill the tank at the toppest level, and you can do this only if it's liquid. Here you see the water. What you see here is the deluge system. We pour 2,000 cubic meters of water on top of the launch pad, like I said, to cut the acoustic vibration, to cool down the facility, and also to keep the pollution inside the launch pad in order to have all the, the heaviest elements of pollution will
Mm.
get stopped by the water, and they will stay inside the launch pad, and that's how we can treat the water afterwards. And this is liftoff. That moment is always very special. I've seen more than 150 launches since I'm here, and it's always very moving to me to see the launcher goes, because every time I see this, I don't see just a launcher going into the air. I see the work of more than
Yes.
2,000 people that has been working without counting their time, in order to have this a success. And you cannot imagine when you have lived a failure. Every time you see a launch, you know that it could be a failure, and it's always very moving to see this, because
Yeah, we see it on TV where they clap, clap, clap. They are
yes,
really
but the
happy.
clap is, yes, because it is when all the pressure is
Yeah,
released. Now
yeah,
you see
yeah,
the boosters falling, the two small points. You see one small point and two other ones. The
yeah.
two small that are the boosters that are falling. Uh,
Okay,
on
okay.
the When you launch, you have to get rid of all the unnecessary weight. So
Mm-hmm.
every time you the stage is empty, you cut it and you separate it from the launcher, and it falls down, because otherwise it's un, unnecessary weight. It's so you don't want to keep it. So you cut. So
So
you
it goes into the
just
sea.
separate. Yes, it goes into the sea. It doesn't fall in this one element, because you have pyrotechnical devices that cut the stage into several parts in order to come back on the Earth, but in small parts, not in a huge
So
part
do
that
they
could.
go? Do they go into the sea to find
Yes,
those
into the
pieces
sea,
and then get them
in the
removed?
Atlantic. No,
Okay.
there's no way to go back and remove them. If
Oh, so it's in
we
the
don't
sea.
collect them, when we don't no, we don't keep them, we don't collect them, and
Ooh
we
la la,
don't.
that's a lot in the sea then.
There's much more containers that falls from the boats than stages
Well, I
from.
suppose. I mean,
I'm sorry, but that's true. That's true.
I
We
had
say
I had a question for you.
yes.
For me, just I wanted to know how many launches per year.
Well, the Space Center is built for 12 launches a year, meaning that we
Oh,
could
12.
launch
Okay.
every month. But actually, this is not the case. This year if we perform the last launch in of the 22 of December, we will have performed 7 launches. Last year, in 2020, we did the same, 7 launches.
Mhm.
Why? Because payloads are not available on time. We sometimes you have a delay, and if the payload is not ready, we cannot launch. Also, we have a very hard competition from US launchers
Yes, the
and
Americans, I'm sure.
the SpaceX for sure, and they are not the only one, because you have now many countries that are able to launch: the Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Indian, uh, and so there's a lot of competitors, and that's why we have to. We used to be in the back in the 80s. We were the only one that were launching commercial payloads. So we more than 50% of all the telecom payloads that were launched at that time were launched from French Guiana. That was the the best time.
The
We
old good
were
days.
yes, anyway, yes, but good days never last. Now we have to face competition.
Okay, all right. So you said normally 12, but could it be as well because of COVID, all the problems with associated with COVID?
Well, COVID was a problem back in 2020 because we stayed like 4 months without launching, but but then we got back all the delay. We launched like every month, and we were able to perform 7 launches. This year it's different. I would say COVID did not very
Okay.
impact our activity, not that much. It was only that the payload were not ready. The problem with Ariane 5 is that you have to have 2 payloads ready at the same time. Sometimes it happens that one payload has a
Oh,
delay, and
yeah.
if
Okay.
one has a delay, you cannot perform
You
the launch.
can't.
We have to wait. So sometimes the launch are very, very delayed. For instance, Web, which we are going to launch in December. Normally, this launch was scheduled in October,
Oh,
but
wow.
because of
They're
the
very
delay,
late.
yes, but not late of 3 months. Actually, they're late of 10 years, because when the contract was signed to launch Web, it was supposed to be launched in 2002, and we are going to launch now. So, meaning that we are almost 20 years late. No, no, no. No. It was supposed to be launched in 2011. So 10
11.
years delay.
Mhm.
Yeah, 10 years
Mm,
delay. But it
mm.
happens because it's such a big web. It costs less than $10 billion. So such a very, very expensive payload.
Mhm.
You can have some delay. It's not unusual, and it's not.
Yes, I can imagine.
Yes, it's part of the. Well, anyway, if it is launched and the launch is a success and the payload works well, everybody will forget about the delay. They will just say, "Wow!"
Yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
was told that maybe because of all the data that Web is going to collect, maybe one of the next Nobel Prizes of Science will be among those who are going to work on the pictures that will be taken by Web.
Okay,
So,
yeah, all right,
so
okay.
I will feel proud to have been part of this.
Yeah. Well, it looks like you are working in a place which is in fact quite exciting.
Yes, yes, it is.
I think it's
Definitely.
exciting. I mean, of course, you're not involved with the technical aspect of it,
No,
but it's still exciting in terms of environment and what you said about all this wildlife, which I didn't know about. I mean, I knew about the wildlife, but not at the the
yeah.
space
You
center.
cannot imagine that there's
No,
such a
I didn't
wildlife here.
imagine that at all. I mean, it's for me, it's just weird.
Yes, I
You
understand.
talked earlier on about the fact that it's a European center. I would like to know what's the position of Great Britain now that they are no longer part of Europe, are they still in or are they out or will be
Yes,
out?
yes, they
They're
are
still
still,
in?
yeah, they are still in because ESA, European Space Agency, is a different organization than Europe. EU and ESA are two different organizations,
Oh,
and
okay.
Great Britain is part of ESA since a long time, and they didn't get out. They're still inside. Actually, in Great Britain, there is a center of ESA which is dedicated to telecommunications applications and payloads. So England is part of ESA since a very, very long time. Since even
Okay. So they
before.
will not be out.
No,
Okay.
they will not be out because it's a partnership, and they know that they have their own interest inside. So they will. I think they will stay.
Okay.
Well, it's never heard that they are discussing about staying or not.
Okay. It's just because of the Brexit. I
Hmm.
wondered,
Yeah.
that's
Yes, they
mm,
are out of European Union, but they're still inside
okay.
the
Okay.
European Space
Yeah.
Agency.
Okay. That's good. Okay.
There are
Oh,
some
no.
countries like this. There are some European countries that are part of ESA and not part of European Union, and the contrary also. So it's not the same
Okay.
countries. It's two different
Okay.
organizations. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you were saying, if I remember, about 22 countries
Yes,
which are
22 member states. Yes.
okay. All right. Okay. Hmm. Very, very interesting. I hope that the viewers are feeling the same. They felt that they learned something. I mean, I learned a lot of stuff. Um, there was one year I was in French Guiana,
Mm-hmm.
and the Earth moved when Cayenne took off.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I was in Cayenne. I wasn't in Kourou, and I know that there's no earthquakes in French Guiana. So I looked. Well, I think I was with my grandmother, and I just said, "Grandma, what's happening?" And she said, "Oh, I am again." So it looks like they're used to it.
No big deal.
No, it wasn't a big deal. But me now, at the time, I lived in France, and I was just there on holiday, so I was shocked because I was told that in French Guiana there's no earthquakes, and the earth was really moving, and she had some glasses, and the glasses were just and I said, oh my god, so each time Ayan takes off, that's what happens.
No,
And she just
it
says,
doesn't
oh,
happen that way.
Mr. Ayan,
It
so
doesn't happen
so
that
i'm
way.
just i'm just trying to
Uh,
imagine what it's like in Kourou.
mhm. Well, I cannot very. I cannot tell you. It depends on what launcher. Well, Ariane 5, yes. It's heavier, not so it could be effectively more. It could be louder, but it doesn't happen every time. It depends on the trajectory also. Sometimes it gets closer to Cayenne, so in Cayenne they heard it a
Okay, so
lot.
it doesn't happen every time. All right.
No, not
Okay.
every time. And sometimes also, well, you have to remember also that the launcher goes faster than the sound. So sometimes when you hear the sound, the launcher is far away from there. It's just
Well,
afterwards that you
I
hear
have
the
to
sound.
say, what I did what everybody did, to
Go
come out of
outside,
the house, and everybody
watch
was
the
looking up,
sky. Yeah. Hmm.
everybody was looking up, and I said, well, I can't see
Did you see
anything, one
something?
tiny tiny light I could see. They say,
That's why.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
why.
but
That's why,
it's just a
because you
little
hear
light
that
I
when you
could
hear
see.
the sound, the launcher is far away. Well, I used to live in Kourou, and I don't remember that every time the launcher was going up, you were
So you didn't
um,
feel anything?
not that much. Well, the thing is,
You're
maybe I
so
have to
used
say,
to it that you don't.
no, 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 really not, really not. You know that moment when the launcher takes off and it flies over French Guiana. This is the more how would I say worrying moments, I would say, because this is the moment where something could happen, and this is the moment where you just look at the launcher to see if everything goes well. You look at the trajectory to see if it doesn't fall down. As I told
Yeah.
you, I
Yeah.
was very
Yeah.
young in CG when I lived my first failure, and we were just all very happy because it was the first launch on of the heaviest version of Ariane 5, and I wasn't watching the trajectory, and when we realized that it was going down, uh, it was very worrying, and so that moment is the only moment when you look to make sure that everything is going well, and so you don't really, you get emotional, but about the what could happen. I'm like a finger crossed, and I'm like go go
Yeah.
go go go
Yeah.
go,
Yeah.
please go
Yeah.
go go.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is
I
what
can
I feel like.
imagine.
Yes,
Mm.
but you know that there were some earthquake in French Guiana. It happens.
Yeah.
Yes.
When?
Oh well, I remember one. I was working in Cayenne at that time. Maybe it was in 2004, 2005, and there was another one like 2 or 3 years ago. And you know why? There are some, but it happens very. It doesn't happen very often.
No.
They say that
Mhm.
maybe it's because you have huh, how do you call it? Days after the devil's islands, the soil goes very down. You know, there's a big come on, that's my word in English. I would say like San Jose in Los Angeles. You know what you call la faille de San Jose. You know it. It's
No.
a place inside the sea where there's a
So you
like a
mean it's like
big
a slide,
huge
a
step.
kind of
Yes,
landslide?
yes.
No, it's not
No, no,
landslide.
it's a huge step. Like the soil is going down very abruptly, and there's a place after the Davis Islands where you have a big depression into the soil, and they
Oh,
say that at that place sometimes when you have a lot of mud coming from the river goes down at that place, the fall of this whole high quantity of mud makes the soil move, and that create an earthquake. That's what I heard.
oh, I never heard that before.
That's
Okay,
what they explained to me because it's not two
it's not
sides coming up and
okay.
down.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's
It's
just
very
a break.
unusual. That's what I was saying. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah. It's
yes,
a
it's very
different, well, different reason.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
definitely,
Okay.
definitely. Well, it happens.
Mm. Okay. Well, I don't see any questions in the
Ooh,
chat.
really? Wow.
Yes, no question. I have to say it was very well explained.
Thank
You
you. I
you
try.
really went into the details. Even the questions I had, you answered them without knowing it. So it's no, I think you've covered everything. Um, no, I don't have. I mean, I had my little questions and I got the answers as we moved on. So I wouldn't be. I'm not surprised either that there's no questions because um, I think you've covered everything. So
Thank
I'm
you.
assuming that you enjoy your work there, right?
Yes, a lot, a lot.
Yes,
Working
yes.
here for 20 years now. It's a
20 years. Well, if you've
yes,
been there for 20 years, it means that yeah, you must be enjoying it.
yes, definitely.
Well, Linda, since there's no questions, if you have nothing else to add,
No.
then we are going to stop the live. I
Okay.
want to
I just want
thank
to say
you
thank
very
you.
much. Sorry.
My pleasure, and I really want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my passion for space with you and the people
All
connected.
right.
It
Well,
was a
I
pleasure.
I can see that there's this passion, and
Thank you.
I didn't know if you could speak English, but you said yes, and I can say yes, you can speak English.
Thank
So
you.
so that's very good, you know. So I guess you use English every day
I
in your
used to use
job,
English in a
or you used to?
yes. Well, my position now doesn't give me such an opportunity, but I used to use English a lot. I used to work half of my time in English and half the other half in French. That was like a year ago, And since I changed position a year ago, and since now I work less in English, but I used to work a lot in English. I've been
Okay.
doing that for more than 10 years. So that's why. And I was explaining, doing visits in English, both in English and French. So that's how I learned how to explain my job in English and how to introduce CSG in English for English speakers.
Mm, mm. Did you say that there were 2,000 people working at the CAG?
Oh,
Or
actually,
how many?
we
That was
are
a question. Huh?
1,600 people.
Oh, okay, not
We
2,000.
used
Okay,
to be
I think I
2,000.
heard 2,000. That's why.
That was back in the years, but when we stopped Ion 4, there was a cut down in the staff, and now we are 1,600 people working on the site for 40 different companies, and there are 10 different nationalities here at CSG, from French to English to Belgium, Germany, Switzerland, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, 10 different nationalities.
And do the European go to French Guiana to visit the center, or
Yes,
yeah, they
yes.
come all the time, I guess.
Yes, we have people coming. Well, French Guiana is not very popular. It's not a very touristic
Hmm. Place, yes.
destination, but because of the spaceport, because we launch payloads from all around the world, we do have people coming from all around the world, including Turkey. We had a Turkish
Turkey.
payload. Yes,
Wow.
we had a Turkish payload a few years ago, and so we have people from Turkey. They brought some special pastries. It was very fun. We have people from the
So
EAU,
is it because they
EUA,
want
sorry.
to be there for the launch?
Yes, yes, definitely.
Ah,
For them,
okay.
it's a payload. It's a kind of their baby, so they
Yeah,
want to
yeah, I
see
can
the baby
imagine.
go. For us, launch is the acme of the thing, but to them, it's just the beginning. For us, it's the end. We did the job,
Yeah,
we deliver
yeah,
correctly. But
yeah,
this is
yeah.
when, for them, the story begins, because this is when the payload will start working, and they will use it for 5, 10, 15 years. So this is the beginning. So they all want to see this moment. But this is not the same when you are launching a constellation such as Galileo. Galileo, it's a, I don't know, it's a 8 or 10 launch that we perform. People are getting used to it. But for some payload, for instance, we had Richard Branson in French Guiana. He came to see the first
Okay,
OneWeb launch. Yes, and I was very
okay.
proud to make my picture with Richard Branson. You don't imagine. It was 3 days after my birthday, and I was like, yeah, I have my gift. Richard Branson. I was very proud. And so, yes, we have some special guests coming to attend the launch here in French
Okay.
Guiana.
Mm. Well, I can understand. I mean, it's they invested so much that
Yes,
they want to be there to, which is not the
definitely.
same as watching it on TV, I guess,
Yeah,
you know.
not the
Yes,
same.
yes, yes. I can understand that. All right. So if there's no more questions, and Linda, as I said again, thank you very much.
You're
I would
welcome.
love to have you back here to talk about French Guiana as opposed
Okay.
to the center, since you have done it, um, because you've been living there for a long time, and I'm sure you can tell us a lot about French Guiana. So maybe that will be our next live. I don't know if
Okay.
you're interested to do it.
Okay.
Um, then yes, I would love that, um, because I think French Guiana is not well known at
No.
all, and I think it's good for people to have with the pictures and films, and it's they can have an idea of how it looks,
Hmm.
and at least, and also having a viewpoint from you,
Hmm.
because you live there. I mean, there I have mine, but I don't
Hmm.
live there. I was just born there, so it's not. enough for me to say much about it. But for you, you're there, you live there, so it will be very interesting. So
Okay.
so it's not the end.
Okay.
It's not the end.
My
Okay,
pleasure.
so merci beaucoup. I'm going to
Thank
end the
you.
broadcast and see you soon.
See you soon. Bye bye,
Okay, au
everyone.
revoir.
Au
Au
revoir.
revoir. Goodbye, everybody. Au revoir.